Very good evening and welcome. I'm Ankit Tyagi. This is Times Now. Let's very quickly bring you to our top story that we are focusing at this moment on the broadcast, and it is about our neighboring country, Pakistan. Imran Khan days as Pakistan Prime Minister are numbered, as boss Bajwa, the army chief, is all set, according to our sources, to sack Imran Khan. Sources are telling your channel that Army and the ISI are against his extension, and top generals are set to pick the new Prime Minister. This comes even as Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan is facing a non-confidence motion in the Parliament this week. Let me very quickly get in our guest this evening. Maroof Raza, Group Consulting Editor, Times Network, is with us. We have Mr. Qamar Cheema, Defense Analyst, also joining us from Pakistan. Gentlemen, thank you so much and welcome. Maroof, I want to start with you. These kind of remarks that we've been seeing coming in from Imran Khan, where at a rally he in fact was giving example of the Indian army as being professional, as being secular, as being non-interfering as far as the government is concerned. It's not a praise for India, rather a quip as far as his own army is concerned, his own country is concerned.
You see, over the last several months, Mr. Imran Khan, I think, has begun to realize that his time is limited now as Prime Minister, and I'll tell you the reasons why. One is that in his first attempt to try and become a leader of political consequence, he had garnered, if I remember, just one vote in the elections, one seat in the elections. And subsequently, after a number of sit-ins outside Islamabad, the army decided that other political elements led by Nawaz Sharif and others were becoming too much of a problem for them. And they chose what people have often referred to Imran Khan as the selected Prime Minister. All along, I mean, historically, much as Pakistanis might argue otherwise, almost every Prime Minister in Pakistan's history, particularly after, Bhutto's elimination and Zulfikar Bhutto's hanging, has served at the behest of the Pakistan army and basically not riled up temperatures with them so that he may be eliminated or she may be eliminated, as Benazir Bhutto noticed twice at least in her career.
Right.
Now, in the case of Imran Khan, what has happened is that Mr. Khan is now facing multiple challenges. One is a possible no-confidence motion this Friday in their parliament, which is something that Mr. Khan is unlikely to come out of. And the army has always wanted, as if I was to quote Hussain Haqqani's book, they've always wanted a Prime Minister who seemed acceptable to the West and acceptable to them, so that the farce of democracy is maintained in Pakistan without the army having to fully take charge of the country's affairs.
Mr. Qamar Cheema, what has led to this fallout? Imran Khan's government came out with a lot of fanfare. Seemed that it had the backing of the mighty Pakistani army, which largely runs the state of affairs in Pakistan. What led to this fallout, sir, where he's facing no confidence motion and on the face of it comes out trying to attack the army with the kind of speeches that he's making?
Well, I think first of all, what you need to understand is that Imran Khan always had a thin majority in the parliament. So he made a government with the coalition partners and the coalition partners fell apart. There are multiple reasons behind that. First of all, the opposition parties, they can make some 162, a number of 162, and they just need 9 to 10 people for making a government in Islamabad. So this is one thing. The second thing is, which is coming as if the military institution is bringing all this no confidence motion against Imran Khan. I think the military has said time and again they are here to support the democracy. They will support any government, any politician who will make a government in Islamabad, be it the PMLN, People's Party, or Imran Khan. So Imran Khan lost the confidence because he doesn't have the money to satisfy his own elected representative, because they cannot go back to the constituency.
He lost the confidence of the army for the same reason as well.
The army and Imran Khan got an excellent relationship. The only thing was Imran and army were working on economic security in Pakistan. Pakistan moved.
Amazing that
economic security.
Maroof, isn't it amazing that even for Mr. Qamar Cheema, who's making right now an argument for Imran Khan and how both the army and the government are at a different level in a democracy, saying that the army and Imran Khan were working for economic progress. Imran Khan lost the confidence of his people. It just seems that the army still, Mr. Qamar Cheema has been at least candid in admitting that the army is the overarching shadow as far as the democracy in Pakistan is concerned, or Imran Khan government is concerned.
You see, a couple of points that I can derive from Mr. Cheema's statements. One is that, you see, the army at the end of the day is the final arbiter of who's going to run Pakistan or not run Pakistan. And there was an army chief just after Ziaul Haq's elimination, when he died in an air crash, was General Mirza Aslam Beg, who took a decision that it's better for the army to keep up the farce of a democracy as long as the army has pliable prime ministers. This has been often written about. It's not my assumption.
Right.
The third thing is that the army in Pakistan, basically, Imran wanted to be his own man from the time when he became prime minister. You might remember he objected to the whole arrangement of the China-Pakistan economic corridor.
Okay.
And then he was quickly asked to shut up and fall in line, or he would lose his job. And since then, he'd had to be a silent spectator and keep doing the usuals, which is required of somebody who's planted in that position. Imran Khan essentially wanted to be at the top post at least once in his life. That ambition has been achieved, and I think he must learn to move on. As far as Pakistan and its economy is concerned, I don't think Imran Khan or the army can turn Pakistan around under the current mechanics that exist.
Cheema Sahab, at least the Pakistani army is showing Imran Khan who's the real captain there, and you will agree with it. You're smiling candidly, sir, and you've also made some points, but the fact is, for Imran Khan to come out in public and praise the Indian army, praise the Indian government of the way the government is functioning when it comes to this entire crisis between Ukraine and Russia as well, this does, if nothing at least, it does show how Imran Khan knows his days are numbered. He's trying to at least go down as a martyr.
Well, the first thing is that the Imran Khan did praise the Indian foreign policy, and I think he was right, because India remained non-aligned starting from the day first. But the Imran Khan did not praise the Indian army. I checked the sources. This is the fake news in Indian print media which is circulating. Now it has come on Indian electronic media.
Sir, we have a bite of Mr. Imran Khan.
This is a fake news. There is no video.
There is a sound bite, sir.
Only few Indian print media sources are publishing that. The script on all the news media is the same. Be it the DNA, Economic Times, I checked it, verified it, I'm saying with all full authority.
Okay, but Mr. Cheema, even the presumption that Imran Khan can praise the way Indian army and the government work as different entities, there is no. In fact, the Indian army does not meddle in the affairs of the civilian government. Even that is so outrageous as far as you are concerned, that you have to so forcefully come out and say there is no. Imran Khan did not say that, because it shows the Pakistani army in a very bad light.
Listen, the point is that there is a history in Pakistan, and the history is that the military has an involvement in the politics. They came directly, they kept supporting the politicians, they kept bringing down the politicians. So there is a history, and that will not go that way.
Let's listen into before I get in Maroof. Qamar Cheema Sahab says it's fake news. There is no soundbite. Let's listen in to what Mr. Imran Khan said about the Indian army.
साथ वाला हमारा मुल्क है हिंदुस्तान। मैं आज हिंदुस्तान को दाद देता हूं, इन्होंने हमेशा आजाद फॉरेन पॉलिसी रखी। आज हिंदुस्तान उनके साथ मिला हुआ है, उनका अलायंस है। क्वाड के अंदर अमेरिका का अलायंस की हुई है, और अपने आप को वो कहता है मैं न्यूट्रल हूं। रूस से तेल मंगवा रहा है, जबकि सैंक्शंस लगी हुई हैं, क्योंकि हिंदुस्तान।
Mr. Qamar Cheema, I'm just getting that one as well, where he's speaking about the Indian army as well, how the Indian army and the state are two different entities. But Maroof, even the mention or imagination that Imran Khan can come out and say that the Indian Army and state are two different entities, that also makes Mr. Qamar Cheema and the ecosystem so uncomfortable that they have to come out vociferously to defend it.
You see, I've done a serious study on civil-military relations in India and Pakistan, and the Indian Army stands out as an example in the post-World War II order as a country where the army has refused to meddle in politics, respected the constitution. It has been a remarkable example of an apolitical force. In Pakistan, the army, interestingly, you go back into the history, has always intervened at the welcome and the interest of their people who have invited the army to intervene. It happened in Ayub Khan's time, it happened in Ziaul Haq's time, it happened in Musharraf's time, because their politicians ceased to govern legitimately. And that has been Pakistan's biggest bane. Their civilian politicians. I'll tell you a bottom line. Never look at Pakistan from an Indian prism. And Pakistan will continue to admire India from the model that India has presented to the world.
And there
is no example.
And there is no harm. Mr. Cheema, there is no harm. We welcome you to learn from our systems, our democracy, our institutions. You are a neighbor. It's always, for us would be a very free-flowing conversation if you, your army and your government can learn a few good things of what we have been able to establish and achieve in India, sir. Thank you so much for joining us at this moment. With that, we're slipping into a very quick break, ladies and gentlemen. News and updates continue.